Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Augusta, where we return again together to create beloved community. I'm today's worship host. My name is Cheryl Martin. I use she, her pronouns, and I will be co-creating this service with Reverend Nick, our music director, Joe Patchen, and our guest musician, Travis Shaw, the tech deck folks, and all of you. And as you'll see in a bit, we're going to be co-creating in a very real way later in the service. Whether you're attending in person or virtually via Zoom, you're more than welcome here. If you're joining us via Zoom this morning, I'd like to invite folks to stay on the call for at least a few minutes following the service so you can say hi to each other and have some of your own fellowship time. If you're visiting in person, please fill out the blue card in the seat pocket near you. Either put it in the collection plate during the offertory or give it to me after the service. This information will help us keep in touch with you and help you be more connected with us. After the service, please stop by the common room for refreshments and conversation. We'll know you by the orange name tag. Whether you're here for the first time or the thousandth, oh gosh gracious, for the 1000th in person or on Zoom, I sincerely hope the deepest part of your soul gets what it needs today. And we have quite a bit of things going on as part of our shared lives together. First of all, be sure to mark June 11th on your calendars for our annual congregational meeting. The board will once again provide food to make sure our bellies are full to do the important business of this congregation. The official agenda will be emailed out directly following the service, along with the registration link if you plan to join by Zoom. Our last Soul Circles event of the year will be this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. in connection with our June theme. I'm sure it will be a delight. Very importantly, our annual flower ceremony is next Sunday on June 4th. This is the 100th anniversary of the uniquely UU ritual, so we'll have extra elements of the service to celebrate this occasion. As many of you know, though, the service only works if everybody brings in at least one flower to share with somebody else. Please bring in any flowers you can to add to the altar and to our experience. We'll remind you again during the week. If you haven't heard, we have 4 brand new week-long UU youth camps coming this summer. Our very first one starts a week from tomorrow, but it's not too late to sign up. You can learn more at uuaugusta.org/Faith Formation Ministries. Desiree C., our Faith Formation Manager, is planning some excellent programs. If you have kids or friends with kids, please look into it and share on any of your social media accounts. Thanks to some generous donors, we have 4-week scholarships available to help folks who otherwise can't come. In addition to the social justice team meeting directly following service, there are a couple of important community justice, social justice events coming up. I hope many of you will consider attending the Augusta Juneteenth parade with us on June 17th. More info to come for that one. We also hope you'll march with us at the annual Augusta Pride Parade at 10 a.m. on Saturday, June 24th. You can learn more about both events if you come to the social justice meeting in Reverend Nick's office after the service. The following day on Sunday, January 25th, we will host a virtual viewing party of Sunday morning worship from the UUA General Assembly instead of holding worship ourselves. Please join us here in the sanctuary beginning at 11 a.m. Finally, last but not least, keep August 19th on your calendar for Reverend Nic's installation at EUCA. This should be a wonderful event with many special guests from around the country. And with that being said, we now enter into our time of service.
Today's chalice lighting words are the poem from Our Land by Langston Hughes. We have tomorrow bright before us like a flame. Yesterday a night gone thing, a sundown name. And dawn today, broad arch above the road we came.
For our opening hymn, number 288, All Are Architects.
Our lives, and you will
Now is the time in our service in which we go extra deep, in which we start to practice connecting deeply with all the senses that we're experiencing right now in this moment. We do so oftentimes through some kind of word or silence that allows us to connect with our bodies, with the floor, with the seats upon which we sit. And I encourage us to do that again today. If you'd like to close your eyes or even lower your head, it's whatever is most comfortable for you. I wrote a poem for this Memorial Day weekend that both highlights the great privilege it is for us humans to experience all that we can experience in life through all the variety of senses that we are gifted with, but also to acknowledge and memorialize the pain and suffering that folks who have been in the armed services, who have died in the armed services, how that experience itself is senseless. So I invite you to listen to these words, and there will be about 2 minutes of silence following the poem for you to just relish in the senses that you have right now. I reached out and felt the rough strand of life which sometimes smelled of jasmine, sometimes sulfur. I gently rubbed against the callous skin of my palm, and my hand caressed the strand with compassion. This strand, along with all the others, is alive, alive with the aura of polar lights, with love, with hate, with grief, with joy, all wrapped up and dancing in the heat, in remembrance. The grating, sensuous touch that life and I shared for this brief moment rang like a street full of church bell towers at noon. It was beautiful. It was too much. I could handle this din. My life had been relatively quiet, painted with relatively even brush strokes. Others could handle this din too, because they were deaf. Too much ruckus, commotion, clamor from life's bell hammer wore their ears to oblivion. Yet their eyes still shined with brilliance and purpose, moving through life, feeling it more deeply than I. The memory of some who took on the deafening noise for others becomes potently palpable. The strand and I stopped our caress ever so briefly, recalling those who can no longer touch life themselves. They've moved beyond it altogether. Some, tragically, amidst an overwhelming scene of violence, of trauma, of senselessness. I touch this small strand ever deeper now in honor of them, holding, not grasping, to the sense fullness, which is a gift. Blessed be.
Wow, it is just such a joy to have a place where we can create services like this, and I'm looking forward to see how it goes. And this is the time now where I'd like you to give as you can, so that we can keep this place going and have this place where we can have these wonderful services. I now invite the ushers to come forward, please. Whether you're giving in person or online, thank you for your generosity.
So I have some friends. You may not believe that, but I do. And a lot of them happen to be ministers themselves, and I have the really privilege and pleasure of spending some time with them a couple times a year up at the mountain in Highlands, North Carolina. I know a lot of folks here have a very deep connection with that UU campsite in the mountains of North Carolina, just inside the border. And one of my good friends, Reverend Christina Branham Martin, was sharing some art that she has done, and she is really a phenomenal artist, with us at this most recent gathering of ministers in April up in the mountain. And one of them just really spoke to me, and I told her that we were going to be having a month about creativity here, and that as part of that, like last year, we wanted to put up some new artwork here in the building. And so there's just one piece that spoke to me, and I said, I'm going to get that, and I'm going to donate it to the church. And today, as part of our service, I'd like to put that up as a special offering to the church, and also a blessing for that artwork. And so just give me 1 second, and I'll grab it from the other room. Hold this, please. acrostic painting. So she used hot wax along with the paint itself. And if you look closely, it's pretty abstract, which I'm all about. Some other folks may not love it. But there is a chalice here in the center, and then fire that kind of surrounds it. If you have to stare at it for a while, like those old, if you can see through the dot things, I forget what they're called. That's what it is. So anyway, today I'm going to put this up and ask that we send our blessings to it as the beauty of it and the meaning of it shares its blessing with us. Perfect. And thank you to Travis for adding his height in addition to his talent. So like that artwork, we are going to have a chance to make some artwork of our own today. In a ritual of sorts of kind of shared co-creativity in the moment, kind of all happening all at once. Our senses responding to all the things that you're hearing, that you're seeing, that you're feeling. And this is part of this month, that as we end this month of May, we have been on the path of creativity. And I think for me, creativity starts from that deep place of sensory connection to the world around us, to the people around us. And so this moment in our service will give us a chance to practice that in real time and also symbolize how we are kind of creating this space always together in a myriad of colorful ways, all overlapping and creating something new and brilliant that then lasts forever. And so as we do this, what's going to happen is we're going to invite folks up to read some poetry that they've submitted over the last couple of weeks, some really lovely poetry that I'm excited for you all to hear as I've had the privilege of reading it ahead of time. And as each poet reads their own words, I invite you to deeply listen to what's being said, feel the words and the images that are being evoked in those words, and then as you feel called, come up to any one of the canvases up here and make 5 to 10 strokes that kind of represent what you've heard, what you've felt, what senses have popped for you, whatever you feel moved to create in that time, about 5 to 10 strokes. And it's okay if it overlaps with previous strokes that other folks have done. That's part of the meaning making of it. And so don't worry about hurting somebody else's artwork. It's all one shared piece. And I really ask that you connect deeply to that neurological connection to all your senses, and to feel and represent what is happening in your soul, in your heart, in your body as we go through this. We're going to have, in addition to the poetry and the art, Travis and Josef are going to be playing and responding in real time also. So this is really a truly multimedia co-creative experience here that we're going to be doing for the next X minutes. I don't know exactly how long it's going to be. But all the poets know the order in which they're going to come up here. There's going to be about 20 or 30 seconds between each poem, so there can be a chance for us to kind of reflect and perhaps think for a moment or feel for a moment before we come up, and we'll kind of follow that pattern for the next 20-ish minutes or so. And here's the cool thing. After we're all done, after this ritual is done, Natalie Franz, who is grew up in this church, some of you may know her, and is Daniel's frequent sub in the tech deck, including today, is a phenomenal artist. And she will make some finishing touches to each canvas to kind of creatively make a whole out of the individual parts, an act of creative kind of unification. And this will happen after the service, so don't expect that to happen today. But I just want you to know that that's something that's going to emerge. And then once this is all done, I hope that these will be pieces that we can keep in our building for some time in the sanctuary, perhaps along the wall outside where we have kind of our art gallery. So with that, I'm going to ask if Joseph and Travis would give us a little bit of that opening mood. And I'm going to start by reading the words of Hoyt Goodson, an ancestor of ours. His spouse is still here with us, Liz Goodson. Where are you sitting? Oh, there you are. This will kick us off. Master poet. Master poet, teacher, mentor, ultimate guru. You created the blue sky, the green planet, and the golden sunset to excite, encourage, inspire your students, budding poets who seek your praise. Master poet, why the need for the cruelties, the tragedies, and the slaughter of the innocent? Is it your way of keeping our hearts open, compassionate, and tender, so that we may expose and denounce those whose hearts have turned to stone within their breasts? Master poet, provide us with the right word, phrase, sentence that we might express that which you wish us inadequate poets to express. Give me the right word, phrase, sentence, that I might help others to feel what I feel.
Take a breath. Come into a time and a place where rhythm, movement, and sound form one prayer around the sacred circle of the blazing fire. The midnight fire is burning as the seekers gather round. Hearts and souls are yearning as they stand on sacred ground. The dancers start their turning as the drums begin to pound. And the flame blazes and the energy raises. And chant praises the divine. Then the rhythm rolls like thunder, hot and wild and fierce and sweet, reaching over, reaching under, through their hearts, into their feet. Bodies move in wonder, writhing, rocking to the beat. The dark extols them. The music holds them. The moon enfolds them in her shrine. But The drummer's hands grow weary, playing patterns through the night, and the dancers become bleary as their muscles lose their might. Legs ache and eyes are teary as they stumble towards the light. Now the shadows hide them and thoughts divide them, but the stars guide them through the cold. Someone shares a story, others sing of love and power, and their pain is transitory as they dance the final hour. The sun bursts forth in glory, and they bloom like morning flowers. Joy inflames them, mystery claims them, alchemy frames them, lead into gold.
Dwarf azaleas, in pink, petticoats satiate the sun-warm bees. Sunlight through the green lace on the maple makes frilly shadows on the lawn. It's a haiku by, but this is a haiku by Anita Bell.
A couple of years ago, I read a book about ordinary people who, even though they don't have a meditation, even though they don't have a spiritual teacher or a belief system, spontaneously achieved an awakening or an enlightenment by grace. And I was very inspired and encouraged by that. This is a poem about an ordinary person breaking through to the other side. It's called Our Lady of the Spices. Somewhere in this wicked world, maybe in India, yeah, say India, a man or a woman, yeah, say a woman, has opened the back door of her small shop, a tea room, maybe a spice stand. Yeah, say maybe a spice stand in an alley. A spice stand in an alley. Yeah, that's very fine. She is sitting with her morning tea on a bucket or a burlap bag of spices. Her left hand holds her sorrows. Her right hand, the lonely light of the world, a stout and secret saint. She cannot even write her name. Behind the tired eyes, bursting open so very, very wide, wild with understanding, giving birth to the new world. For the first time, she truly tastes her tea. She has never studied the sutras. They don't speak of her breasts and the desperate babies they've nursed, or the secret wounds of the heart. She has never meditated. She has no disciples. The movements of her yoga are feeding and doing, including all things in the sweep of her wide arms. The bodhisattva of the spice bins opens her lips in this final triumphant life. Oh, and aha.
Dry leaves, silverfish, schooling in airborne funnels above the dark pond. Garden silhouette, reaching from winter's dry bed, perennial hope. This haiku is by Colette Cosma.
Beauty by Andy Reese. The majesty of Niagara Falls, its awe-inspiring, enormous power, also produces the mist, where ethereal rainbows shimmer and dance. A picnic on a mountain ridge in a meadow of California poppies and lupine. A riot of orange and purple, stretching toward the impossibly blue Pacific. The rolling flint hills of Kansas, the tall grass prairie where buffalo and cattle once roamed in countless millions, and settlers somehow found their way across the featureless landscape. The splendor of Marie Reine de la Monde, Montreal's great cathedral with its gilt and stained glass, just a few blocks from the Sailors' Church, equally beautiful in its simplicity and craftsmanship. The room in the Metropolitan Museum of Art where you sit surrounded by Monet's water lilies, the multitudinous shades of purple brings the quiet peace of sitting in a garden. The plays of William Shakespeare illuminating the range of human emotion and the depths of evil and courage, but needing actors to bring them to life. The awe-inspiring beauty of nature and the creativity of human imagination are often put in different categories. But the flowers, waterfalls, and we are all part of nature.
Thin, yellow, green leaves, simple miniature of adults, soft, immaturity. It's a haiku by our own Liz Goodson.
She is an elusive mistress, but only because I am so complex. I never see her, but she knows that I am blind. Work, school, living, surviving, she supports me, and I ignore her. She is patient and warm and kind, and I forget her. But our love and power are explosive when I'm with her. I can be honest and free with her, unlike anywhere else. And she reminds me that I can just be. So how can I constantly forget my home is in her embrace, and I can see her always if I just open my eyes?
I once took a class, continuing ed class, in Celtic spirituality, taught by an Episcopal priest. She told us that the prayer poems of the Celts dealt with their everyday lives, getting up in the morning, doing their crops, even their cows. Our assignment was to write a prayer poem in the Celtic tradition, and this is my Celtic prayer poem about my day as a pediatric oncology nurse. Bless me, O Spirit, as I care for my children, children who smile through pain, loss of hair, threat of death. They touch my heart, my soul. May I see this world through their eyes, taking moment to moment, pleasure and joy in simple things. May I touch their lives as they touch mine.
Snowflakes on branches bring cherry blossoms to life well before Easter. A haiku by our former minister, Reverend Dan King.
Haven't had a chance to come up and put your mark on these canvases yet. It doesn't have to be perfect. There's no skill level involved. It's just your sensorial response to what you're hearing and to what you're experiencing. I do encourage you to take that vulnerable move toward a canvas and place your mark on it forever. As I read this second poem by Andy Reese. New tracks on fresh snow, black marks on crisp white paper, old and new stories.
Honeybees buzzing around pretty pink flowers, bring home sweet nectar. Another haiku by Dan King.
I decided that I didn't have very many talents when it came to creativity, but I thought that I could perhaps get into writing haiku. So I did write some haiku that I'd like to share with you now. Widen the circle. Let it spread the love to all. Let it give you joy. Blessed be the circle, spiral of love, peace, joy, life, part of who we are. And one more. Memories profound, live in my heart and mind now, keeping love alive.
Paint hook, made from a wire handle, torn from a gallon can, lies in the back of my father's red and white panel truck. Dried paint splatters, spread over the floor and the sheet metal walls. It's dark in here. An engine for compressing air stands in one corner. When working, it can generate 100 pounds. But now it's solemn, quiet, oil drawing on the cylinder fins. In front, near the torn driver's seat and steering wheel, smeared with years of painters' hands, hang overalls swinging slightly on a nail. From this distance, they look like my father, who knows tools, who taught me how to squeeze the trigger of a spray gun while the arm guides it evenly along the 5 planes of a door, around the arc of an oval window, sensing shape in abstraction. He's smiling, knowing I've learned this. He stands behind me now, a dark figure in the wet paint mist, that enters my lungs and overwhelms this room.
A mockingbird hops in the damp, newly mown grass, searching for his meal. Haiku is by Anita Bell.
I'm forever grateful for the artist within me who feels profound joy and inspiration from times when I'm in a natural setting. And for the scientist in me who wonders how and why. Calling up to a certain at a certain level for Hoyt Goodson's concept of the master poet. In grade school, I was asked to write a poem, and somehow that poem has stayed with me forever in my life because it conjures up a little vision of what I mean by being inspired by being in a natural setting. So this little poem is one I handed in grade school. It goes. It's called The Butterfly. I saw a little butterfly resting in the sun just beyond my windowsill before the day was done. Such a pretty little thing flying here and there on its bright enchanted wing in the summer air.
Brothers and sisters form a sibling chain from oldest to youngest as we come into the world. Now, my middle sibling, Stephen, died of COPD with complications of COVID last year on May 1st. He was only 65, and from the first symptoms to his death was only 10 days. As a remembrance to mark his first year of his passing on May Day of this year, I wrote this short poem for him. It's entitled The Middle. Often forgotten in this place is the middle link in the chain, a difficult position binding front to end, that when tugged feels the pressure from both ways. Its life a constant strain to show its worth along the link, to keep the chain together and prove its importance. Rarely its significance is being realized, until one day the middle link weakens, breaks, and is gone. Chainless, only two ends, without a middle. Incomplete. Now, only memories of being that chain.
In the median, yellow and pink flowers bloom. Cars swiftly pass by. Haiku by Hoyt Goodson.
I wrote this poem 25 years ago on discovering the first professional female poet in the English language, Afro-Ben, and that she wrote about how she did not just write it for the money, which is the third day of a theatrical performance. First day goes to the owners, second day goes to the actors, third day goes to the writers. She said, I didn't write just for the third day, but for fame. And I like a 17th century woman who wants some fame. So this is on Afro-Ben. I sing a song that's not my own, but written long ago. A poet took her pen in hand to let the ages know. A widow and a debtor is no decent role to play, and so she wrote another part, an author on the stage. Convention shattered round her as she earned her price in gold. Her pen sent out the message clear with every page she sold. And still across the centuries, she'll have the tale be told. I am alive. Alive, I am alive. I am words that burn. I am words that cry. You can read my mind as the pages turn and all the lovers sigh. I write not for the third day, but for ages passing by. I am Afra, and I am alive. Faithless kings and feckless love and restoration crowds talk of wit and wickedness that brought the houses down. The bard has found a sister, and a poet she would be, and pox on the malicious tongues who'd poison history. She told the tales of traitors and a tragic enslaved king, of nuns and whores and beggars, and the freedom love can bring. And as I read the pages, I can hear the author sing, I am alive. Alive, I am alive. I am words that burn. I am words that cry. You can read my mind in passion speech or in a lullaby. I write not for the third day, but for ages passing by. I am Afra. I am alive.
Invite folks to make their last few marks as we wrap up this portion of the service and our time together today on this Memorial Day weekend. Just a few more marks as I express my gratitude to each of you for what you bring to the whole here. We are whole because of you. Our artwork is whole because of you. May we continue to create beauty and things approximating beauty going forward with love. May we create beloved community.
rise in body or spirit for a closing hymn. Number 319, the earthborn children of the stars.
Remain standing in body or spirit as I read these closing words by Reverend Barbara Wells entitled The Blessing of Creativity. May you find the deep peace of creation flowing in your spirit. May your senses awake to the creative spark that lives in you. May you move in beauty and seek to create beauty wherever you go. May you take the risk of discovering the divine within you and around you. And may the Spirit of life bless you with courage and hope as you live creatively with others by your side.